Okay, so every day when I come to work, I start off with getting into Ginzabar. If you're not muted, go ahead and mute yourself. I'm getting a lot of feedback, please. Okay, so every morning when I come to work, the first thing that I do is I get into Ginzabar and I pull up my classes, because you guys are broken down into 2 classes, like Miss Elise and Melanie, and Abby and Damica and Jasmine and Kenyana, y'all are 03, but the Roblyn and Rhonda and Antoinette, because they were here sooner than y'all, they're in 02. They broke my class, they did 2 classes. You're doing the exact same things, you're just broken up in my Ginzabar. Anyway, the first thing I do is I get on and I pull up your names and I go into everybody's work and I see what you've done every day. And that's how I get attendance. I literally go in and I click into everybody's name every day. Today has been the first time since the beginning that I got in and every single student submitted an assignment yesterday. I had 100% attendance and I am so very proud. I want us to continue that. Now, when I tell, we talk about attendance, it doesn't count against you, right? But if you've received the progress report, you see there is an attendance percentage on there. And so you may have a 98 as a grade and a 60% in attendance because you've skipped a couple of, when you work on the weekends. So that's the reason why those question of the day questions are so important, because not only are you going to have a good grade, but that attendance percentage is going to be there. Now, what can you use that for? Well, you can put it on your resume. I had a total of 500 hours I had to complete, and I had a 98% percentage rate within those hours. That shows that you're, what I mean? It shows that you're on top of it. Now, I don't say that to say that I think you should never miss a day or I'm calling anybody out for missing. It's not that at all. But I have to tell you, as an instructor, that's my goal. I want somebody turning an assignment in every day. I want everybody to have, well, I tell my kids I love all A's, but we know that doesn't always happen. But I love for you guys to have an A or a B. And if you don't, I'm constantly saying, okay, what can I do? Do you need assistance? Let me do this, let me do that. Because my goal is for you guys not to just get through the program, but to get through the program at a high standard. And we're getting there. And like I said, I just wanted to say, thank you for helping me reach a goal this morning of 100% attendance. I was not expecting it. I called my boss at 7:52 this morning and said, guess what? Everybody in OMBC 02 and 03 did an assignment. We had 100% attendance and all of my students are on day 1. When I text you and say, hey, you're on day 5 of no submissions, well, nobody's on any day but 1. Everybody's even ground. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I'm going to continue to push for more days like that, because as an instructor, it just is important. Okay. And it's important for y'all too, because it means you're more engaged in class. So anybody have any questions about that? No? Okay. Second announcement is I want to talk to you about something called sapping. Does anybody know what sapping out means? For Unitech, that means you fail. So how do you do that? Well, if you failed a module and then you go into another module and you still have Fs, you have to start thinking, and I'm not saying anybody in here has that kind of a grade or anything, but I just want to remind you guys, keep an eye on your grades. If you're consecutively not having good grades, eventually the road does end and you will sap out, which means you'll be dropped from the program. And guess what I can do about it? Nothing. So we need to make sure that our grades are where they need to be. Again, not talking to anybody specific. I'm talking to our entire class, right? Because there's more people than just what's in front of me here. I am going to start doing another Zoom starting next week. It will be Thursday nights at, I don't know what time, 6:30 or 7 o'clock. Now, this is a stretch for me because I'm an old girl, and usually at my expiration is about 5:30. But next Thursday night, we will be doing a Zoom. I'll probably make it 7 o'clock just to make sure we can get as many people as we can on that night. And that first class next Thursday night is going to be simply a meet and greet, which means we're going to talk about, we're still doing our Zooms Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11. That's not going to change. I'm going to offer something for these students that have to work all day, right? I want them to be able to, feel connected with me and with their classmates. Sorry, y'all, I'm hot and I'm trying to take my jacket off. So you're welcome to join, and that was a goal that I have been wanting to meet also, is to have one more Zoom class in the evenings. You're more than welcome to attend. I don't know if I'll do exactly what I did in the daytime and the nighttime. I'm not sure yet. That's why I want to do a meet and greet next Thursday, so we can decide what we want that evening class to be. Let's see. All right. So chapter 1 and 2 exam seem to be difficult for some, not so difficult for others. We did go over the exam in class. And because we had such a bad week last week with the hurricane, I was very understanding with reopening exams, but this will not be in every exam situation. So I need you guys to make sure that you're studying. We are going to do some test review today. I'm going to say again, I'm not going over every question on the test, okay? I'm kind of giving you a snippet of what you're going to be looking at. These things, I know that sometimes when we start a new module, and especially this is so different than other things we've been doing, right? So now we should be able to retain that information. It's different information, and know what we're looking for. Okay, so that's all of my announcements. Does anybody have any questions or anything to add to that? So our goal is to have 100% attendance 100% of the time. That's totally doable, right? No, but we want to get as close as possible. So I just want to push that, I just want to make that a top priority, because if we're having 100% engagement every day, it just means that everybody's going to be much more successful in the program. Okay, so today we are going to be doing a review of chapter 3 and 4. Okay, I want to say something about your EHR exercises. So who could find Jenny last night? Guess what? I couldn't find her either. If that happens again, because sometimes what happens is they update the book, but they don't update the Sims chart. You know what I mean? If they do one update without updating the other, without even realizing, if that happens again, choose a different patient. Okay? If that happens again, just go ahead and choose a different patient, or make up the demographic information on that patient. Use what they're giving you and then make up the rest. Does that make sense? This isn't a perfect fit, I know, but we can make it work. We can make it work. So any questions about that? I do want to ask I'm sorry, Antoinette, what?
I have a question about it.
Okay.
The EHR 4.1, it was where you was putting the dates in the calendar for the doctor that went to lunch.
Uh-huh.
So when it asks you reoccurring, you put daily, but then I'm trying to go back to it to see what else it asks. I didn't know. Hold on, I'm trying to get to it. The duration time, what would you put? I just put the end of the year. I'm trying to get back to it, my system. Hey, let me do it. I'm trying to get back to it to see what it's
4.1?
4.11.
Oh, I was like, 4.1 doesn't say that. No, it doesn't. Let me get to 4.11. Hang on.
It's just say that he need to go to lunch every day from 11 or something. But when you do it and you go to reoccurring, it say daily, and then it say duration time. So what would you put? It say in by or in after?
I would just do it for the year.
The year, that's what I did. Okay.
Yeah, do it for the year. And what'll happen when that year is up, it's going to send you a little alert saying, hey, this, what are we going to do about this? And you can just double check with the doctor and make sure that he wants to keep his lunch hour. And then you would just re-up it for the next year.
Okay, that's what I did. I did it for the year. I was trying to make sure we did it for a year, a month, 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty par for norm. And usually usually the office manager does that. She makes sure that, but it's great for y'all to know it because every facility is going to do things differently, right? Okay, any other questions? Is anybody having trouble with the critical thinking scenarios? The answers that I'm reading are great. I've had a couple of questions about, but I don't want you to overthink. Who's an overthinker? I am. I got to pick it apart, step on it some, and then glue it back together and do it again. I want us to stop doing that. We don't need to be overthinking all of these things. Common sense usually prevails. Just make sure that you're not doing any HIPAA violating, and I think you'll be all right, okay? Okay, so now we're going to get to reviewing our quiz for chapter 3 and 4. In this particular module, we kind of squeeze the tests together. So that's why we're doing 3 and 4. So number 1, the office manager reviews the staff blank every 6 months to determine if any unauthorized information was accessed. The office manager reviews the staff blank every 6 months to determine if any unauthorized information was accessed. Authorization checks, audit trail, username verification, or audit check. Okay, so I'm just going to chapter 3 under key terms, and I'm going to read what audit trail means. A record that traces a user's electronic footsteps by recording activity and transactions, including unsuccessful attempts to view unauthorized screens within the EHR system. So our answer would be audit trail. Again, key terms, key terms, key terms. So it's going to be audit trail. Okay. Now, the next one. In order to release patient information for participation in a research study, a blank form would be completed in the SIM chart for the medical office. I'm going to read it again. In order to release patient information for participation in a study group or a research study, a blank form would be completed in SIM chart for the medical office. Is it a disclosure authorization, a prior authorization, notice of privacy practices, or an advance directive?
It's a disclosure.
Disclosure.
You're giving permission, the patient's giving permission to have their information disclosed for research. Make sense? You really start thinking about those words individually, it really does help. Okay, the next one. Kim has an appointment with the specialist to discuss chronic syncopial episodes. She needs a copy of her PMH, private medical history, or prior medical history, to be sent to the specialist. She needs a consent and authentication, I can't say that word, Authorization or contract? It's going to be an authorization. That didn't give you a lot of information, so that's why I went ahead and said the answer, but let's stop and think about it. Kim's had to go to a specialist. The only way to get to a specialist is you have to do what? You have to get a referral from your primary care physician. In order to see a specialist, you have to have an authorization. To me, that wasn't a great question. That's why we're talking about it, right? Because I was like, that's not a great, to me, it didn't give enough information. So I'm giving you the information. So when you see that question on your test, you're going to know that's an authorization because she's going to see a specialist. It has to be authorized, right? All right. All right, so I'm going to ask a sim charting question. To locate and complete the medical records release document, you would click on which icon in SimChart for the medical office. So we need to locate and complete a medical records release. Are we going to click on correspondence, coding and billing, front office, or form repository?
Form repository.
Yes, ma'am. Form repository. See why I've been having you go in and practice all these different things and click all this different stuff? It's because it's actually important for the quiz. All right. I want you guys, do you guys remember us talking about the minimum necessary standard? Maybe we didn't talk about it, but this is what I want to say before I read this question. Okay, so I am going to go see a heart specialist. Go to see the heart specialist, and he decides I need to see a pulmonary doctor. Needs my medical records. Does he need to send everything in my medical record to that pulmonary doctor, or just the stuff that pertains to what's going on? Okay, let me ask you. Yeah, just Miss Elise, let me ask you. So I lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I'm gonna get it back. Well, y'all, I'm just gonna have to come up with something else. I had a good scenario in my head and it just flew right out. Y'all forgive me. The space between my ears is blowing hard today. Whenever you're asked to send records for a patient, so let's go with cardiologist again. I'm seeing doctor practitioner, which is my very basic doctor, and doctor cardiology calls over and says, hey, I need a copy of this and this and this for Mrs. Gallagher. As the person sending the records, what am I going to pull? Just what he's asked for. Just what's necessary. They're going to tell you what they want to send. Don't just make a copy of the whole medical record and send it, because that's beyond necessity. We only need what's necessary. Okay, so now here comes the question. Katie is going to an ENT specialist for seasonal allergies. Only those progress notes pertaining to treatment of rhinitis and copies of sinus x-rays are sent to the specialist. This is an example of HIPAA release, minimum necessary standard, consent, or PHI.
Minimum necessary standard.
Minimum necessary standard. So in your own words, somebody give me in your own words, what is minimum necessary standard?
Release of information that's only pertaining to what you're going to see the other physician for.
Right, or just exactly what the physician has asked for, right? That's like if somebody asked you to bring them a McDonald's burger and a Diet Coke, or you're going to bring them a chicken sandwich and some chicken nuggets and a Frosty too? No, you're just going to give them what they've asked for.
Right.
I know that's funny, but I'm telling you, y'all are going to remember it because we made something silly out of it.
Mhm.
Okay. HIPAA addresses which of the following? Privacy, security, portability of insurance coverage, physical safeguards, or all of the above?
All of the above.
Who agrees?
I do.
It is all of the above. Because HIPAA is about privacy and security. Portability is actually in HIPAA, in the acronym, and physical safeguards. All of that has to do with HIPAA. Okay, I'm going to go over this next one just because I think it's a little bit harder and just because I spoil y'all. So, what does protected health information pertain to? Health information stored on paper or electronically. Protection of conversations that hold personal information. Well, that doesn't even make sense, does it? The process of releasing paper-based patient records, or health information stored and transmitted electronically.
It's the last one.
It's health information stored and transmitted electronically. Because let's think about it. If it were on paper and in a locked doctor's office, it's not really, it's not transferable really that way, right? But if you put it through a fax machine, it's going electronically, right? So I don't know if that makes any sense to y'all, but that's how my brain read that. So that's what we're going with. Does that make sense? So it's health information stored and transmitted electronically. You guys need to know what covered entities are. You need to know what sanction policy is. Make sure you know what the privacy rule is. So security guards are an example of physical safeguard, administrative safeguard, privacy rule, or a technical safeguard. A security guard. What's he protecting? You physically, right? So a security guard is an example of a physical safeguard. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You need to know what double booking is. You need to know what purging is. All right, so I'm going to ask you a trick question. Really think about this. I think you're going to know this. Patient records are classified into all of the following groups except patient records. They're either active, inactive, closed, or insurance type. Which one is not a group?
Insurance type.
Yeah, Antoinette said the same thing. So insurance type, right? So patient records are either active, inactive, or closed. Can you guys remember how long you keep closed records?
10 years.
Some say you can keep them in office for 5 and then you can take them to a secondary storage place for the next 5. It just really depends. So that is the test. Well, not the whole test, but you guys get the gist, right? I'm expecting good grades on this exam, guys. There's no reason. Study, 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 and then take your time when you take your test. So many times if there's a bad grade, somebody took 7 minutes to do the test. I'm like, slow down and read. Really think of, don't overthink. I know I just got through saying don't overthink everything, and I'm saying slow down, think, and read. Just sometimes the wording is tricky, right? So if you feel like it's tricky, close your eyes, take 5 deep breaths, and read it again. Okay, I think we're going to call class done for today. I do have an NCCT prep for us, but we will push that off until next time. Tomorrow is your instead of having lab, you're going to have an exam for 3 and 4. That's what we just reviewed and went over. So I'm expecting great grades, and we're going to push for that 100% attendance again tomorrow. So everybody get on and do your work. All right. Anybody need anything? No? It was wonderful to see all of you guys. If you need anything, let me know. And I hope you have a great weekend. I get off at 4 tomorrow, but I'm not doing anything. So if you need me, you can still text me. But all right. Next Thursday night, 7 o'clock, we're going to have a meet and greet. And I will be sending out a remind. The login information, the join information, everything will be the same. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.